Hey fans, welcome to another Patreon special missions request, and this one comes from a good brother who knows all about the power of the law, just like Rio Blast. This one is from Hector Martinez. Hector, thank you so much for all your support over the years as a member of the Patreon tribe, and Hector has requested my top 5 Masters of the Universe vehicles. So this is not a top 5 that's going to be filled with childhood memories, because I didn't have any of these growing up. I actually didn't have any Masters of the Universe vehicles growing up. I had Battle Cat, and that was about it. So these are all things that I have collected in recent years, and I'm digging them. I'm loving them. It's never too late to enjoy a really fun, zany vehicle, and the 80s had some of the most fun, zany vehicles out there. So let's kick the list off in no particular order with number 5. Number 5 is the original set of wings for Masters of the Universe. It is the Wind Raider, which the bottom of the thing says 1981, but I believe it was released in 1982, if you will believe the online pundits. The Wind Raider, no batteries required, just some imagination and your best impression of airplane noises. It is notoriously fragile. A lot of these are busted. The wings broken off, the wings on this particular one. It looks like someone did a glue job on it, which is why I was able to get it a little bit better price than most of them. It's got some wheels on the bottom so it can actually roll out as well, and I think it looks fantastic with Man-at-Arms. It's not the exact same shade of green as Man-at-Arms, but it's close enough, and the yellow, or the oranges, yellowish orange goes perfectly with his armor too. So if I had this, it would have been Man-at-Arms' ride. Now that I do have this, it is Man-at-Arms' ride. And it's not just something that you fly around. It's got a working tail fin on the back. These are supposed to move. I dare not budge them right now. And one of the most fun features is this little hook, which you can hook some baddies with it, and then you can crank it and tighten it on the front to reel in all those stinkers of Skeletor.
We'll need the Talon Fighter to follow him.
Number 4 is another flying vehicle and a location as well. It is the Talon Fighter with Point Dread. So the actual Talon Fighter part of it is perched atop Point Dread, and I love the handle, like a kind of trigger handle, which you can grab from behind so that you're not just holding it like the Wind Raider and whooshing it around. It feels like it should have had some electronics, but it didn't. But that seems like a much more efficient way of whooshing your vehicle around. Open her up here, and I've got an Origins He-Man in there. I always thought seated one figure, but it actually seats 2 figures uncomfortably. And close that up, and you can get really, really intimate with the fellow Masters of the Universe in there. There's really not much to the Talon Fighter. It's got this spinning disc on the front. No real play features to speak of other than it flies around. It's got some removable wings on here. Really, it's the full package here, and this is a list of vehicles, not beasts or play sets. But I guess the Talon Fighter, it sneaks in by being joined to Point Dread, which is a really cool addition to Castle Grayskull. It can either sit on its own here, and you can place a figure inside there to be on the lookout. And if you have a Mechanic, you can be especially on the lookout there. But it also detaches. This part right here lifts up and off and attaches onto your classic Castle Grayskull set. Will it be compatible with the new Origins Castle Grayskull? Time will tell. They'll probably be releasing an Origins Point Dread set as well. But really awesome that could attach to Castle Grayskull. They didn't really do that much in the 80s, where they released a big playset and then they had a little add-on down the road. So I love the fact that you can attach that onto Castle Grayskull and then have the Talon Fighter perched atop Castle Grayskull. That is a big reason why this made the list, not just for the aesthetics of it, but the fact that it's part of Castle Grayskull perched atop there in the colors of the Sorceress, blue and orange. Just like that presentation of it. And it's great to add more air support to the heroic side, especially one that isn't plagued by the fragile wings of the Wind Raider. Number 3 on the list is 1984's Road Ripper, which is as close as you're going to get to a motorcycle on Eternia. It's a 3-wheeler, so it's not going to fall over. It's got these 2 giant wheels in the back and then smaller wheel in the front. I like the design on the front here. It's reminiscent of the Battle Ram or the Sky Sled. The figures get secured in by way of a seat belt right here, which is very easy to pop in and pop out. The real gimmick with the Road Ripper is the zip line. So you just feed that through here. Very nice that it's not battery powered. You don't have to keep swapping the batteries or worry about the batteries corroding over time and damaging. You just put in the zip line, whatever this thing is called, and you pull, and it's actually a 4-wheeler because there's this little mini wheel that once you pull that, it just starts ripping. And this thing has some speed to it. Just feed it through there, give it a pull, and that is fast. So if you can get a whole bunch of those, you can start your own biker gang in Eternia. Maybe have the Eternian version of the Dreadnoks.
Hurry, they're getting away.
Number 2 is one of the zaniest motorized electronic toys ever made, He-Man or not. It is 1984's Dragon Walker. It's one of the loudest too. You just flip the switch and off it goes. In the most inefficient form of travel of any vehicle ever. Super fun toy to actually take outside, to have it traverse over maybe some rough terrain. It is loud though. I know of one particular tyke who recently got one, and he's only able to enjoy it by putting some headphones on to cancel out the sound. But this is one hopefully they can improve upon in the Origins line if they decide to come out with it again. Make it a little quieter and make the batteries a little smaller. It uses some ginormous batteries in here. Look at these beasts right here. Not quite D, but C batteries are pretty huge though. I mean, it takes 2 of these. So glad to have picked one up at a toy show not too long ago, a couple years ago, and it's in fantastic shape. The great thing about the Dragon Walker is that there really isn't much to do with it in terms of playing with it, smashing it, throwing it around. It's really just a flip a switch and play with it type of toy, which means that a lot of the paint jobs have been pristinely preserved. There's only just a few scrapes on this particular one, and I picked one up also for some friends, which was in fantastic shape as well and worked great as well. It's got some really nice paint wash on it, much like Castle Grayskull. Just beautiful paint work on it. The stickers are normally, when I see these, in very, very nice condition. And they generally work too, built to last. So the Dragon Walker is a super fun, zany toy. Great for just display. Nice sculpting on it, the dragon scale type of sculpting on it. But also when you actually fire it up, it's pretty fun and wild and unpredictable, which you can't say about a lot of motorized toys.
If you need me, just whistle.
And number 1 on the list, as well as number 1 in many of our hearts, it is the Attack Track, the vehicle with the most attitude of any machinery on Eternia.
It is obvious that men and women are equals. Machines, on the other hand, are quite superior.
It is Eternia's version of KITT. flip a switch, and it's just got those big floppy puppy paws that flop all over the place. And when I first got this, I thought from the commercial that I saw, this thing can traverse any terrain. What an awesome idea. This will blow the Mobat out of the water in terms of being able to go over rough terrain. Little did I know when I fired it up, this thing can barely climb over a peanut. I learned that when I was trying to get the track to go over the track of Omega Supreme, and it didn't work out too well. Attack Track needed a little bit of motivation. I also love the fact that it's voiced by Lou Scheimer on the He-Man cartoon. Lou Scheimer was the creative force, the heart and soul behind the Filmation He-Man cartoon, and he actually did quite a few voices himself, even though he didn't fancy himself an official actor, voice actor. He just kind of got in there and did the job, and did a fantastic job too. He also voiced Orko, King Randor, a couple of other characters that you might not realize, Light Hope, I believe, as well. But I just love the personality of Track on the show. He's barely a character. I mean, he's still very robotic. You know, he's not like 30-30 on Brave Star, but he was very kit-like, very full of himself, very funny attitude. This particular version did actually appear in one episode called Evil Seed. Man-at-Arms calls it the small Track, but it doesn't have the computer personality of the larger one. If they do come out with an Origins Attack Track or any of these other motorized toys, I would really hope that the battery feature is still included. Just maybe take advantage of the advances in technology, and instead of the giant C batteries that this takes, maybe we could just use the AA's or the AAA's instead. So that's my top 5 favorite vintage Masters of the Universe vehicles, and I want to hear what your favorites were. Vehicles, not beasts or playsets. That'll be another list. But feel free to share them in the comments below. Hector, thank you so much for all your support on Patreon. Thank you for the requests. That was a fun one to go through. And thank you to everyone else on Patreon who is supporting the channel. And glad to hear you're all enjoying the exclusives and all of the other fun get-togethers that we do on there, like the watch parties and the round tables. Big thank you to the channel members too for hitting the join button on the channel. Really cool seeing the loyalty badges pop up on the comments, and seeing the custom emojis being used on the live streams. It's very cool that every time I now mention Where's Mask, I see a whole bunch of Spectrum masks pop up, so that's fun as well. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share the video and to join the tribe. Pop 2 C batteries in subscribe. Nerdmas Day.